Welcome back to Studio F. We're on Fast Times Willy B. We'll be reviewing Rocky 5. Gentlemen, let's broaden our minds.
Russell?
Welcome back to Fast Times Willy B. I'm Willy B. I've got Keaton back with me. And Keaton, we are continuing through the Rocky franchise with Rocky 5. So now we hop to the 90s. We're in 1990 director. We get John G. Avildsen back in the chair. He's back for what you told me, going back for that original look, back in the slums. But cast-wise, we've got Sylvester Stallone, we've got Talia Shire, we've got Burt Young. How many times can I say these people's names? We've got
Get used to it. Well,
we've got Tommy Morrison as an addition, and then we got Sage Stallone, rest in peace, playing Rocky's son in this film. But we'll start with the good, and I like going back to the roots.
Yeah,
I like the old Philly feel. Obviously, you got Paulie doing a Paulie move, and he F's up the finances a little bit, and so
he pretty much like he signed off unknowingly, a sheet that pretty much gave right to attorney to their attorney, and so he pretty much goes and embezzles that money and tries to profit off of it in real estate or whatever. Well, he ends up screwing it up, and now the I almost said the Stallones, but no, the Balboas, they're bankrupt.
Back to their old home, and they get the warm welcome from the fans, which is cool. But from there, they got to take on some odds and ends jobs. So we see Adrian back at the pet store, and we have Rocky. He's running Mick's gym because Mick left it with Rocky's son and his will. So we see them doing things like that, and through the gym we get Tommy the Machine Gun.
Yep.
Who's looking for a manager. And from there, Rocky. I like seeing Rocky the manager role. That's another thing I'll put in the good too.
Yeah.
Seeing Rocky kind of take on that Mick role for, a protege to say.
Yeah.
I thought it was fun, and when we get a lot of those Tommy gun fights going on with Rocky in his corner, I think that little stretch of fighting is really fun to watch.
Yeah. Well, and so one of my favorite scenes from this movie, and you mentioned Mick, he kind of picks up that Mick position, as a manager. I mean, this is just another movie that made me cry, and it was when after Rocky, he has to sell all his stuff. He's auctioning all his stuff off, and selling the house and all that stuff. So he's back in Philly. He's just kind of reminiscing around the town. Well, he sees Mick's gym. He walks in there. It's all empty and barren. Nothing's in there.
Yep.
And he just walks in there. He's kind of reminiscing, and you see that nice little flashback of Mick and Rocky. They're in the ring and they're practicing.
Yeah.
And just that whole speech.
Yeah.
From Mick just saying, I can't remember all of it. It goes on for 3 minutes, but at the end, Mick's I forget what he says, but he goes, you know who loves you or whatever.
Yeah. And
just like that, oh my gosh, man, I shed some tears.
Yeah.
And it's just really sad. That's one of my favorite scenes out of the movie.
Yeah. I love seeing Rocky in that manager role, and it causes a little conflict between him and his son, and I think that was, just another cool. Not you don't want to say good because obviously it sucks, but it was a good plot line.
Absolutely.
To push okay, and it leads to his son wanting to get more into boxing, his son fighting his own fights at school, and so. But then it comes back around, and you get a good story out of it. You get a little good arc between the relationship of Rocky and his son.
Absolutely.
In this movie. So that's something else I'd throw in the good. What else you got?
So, here's the thing. I'm not gonna sit here and say this is an excellent movie. This is amazing.
Yeah.
It's the weakest in the series. I'll admit that.
For sure.
Okay. I still enjoyed it.
Yeah.
like as a whole.
I have fun with it.
Yeah. I enjoyed it.
I think you enjoyed it a little more than I did.
Yeah.
But
yeah, well, because I remember we were talking, you know, I was like, oh, I got to watch 5 next. And you were like, oh, yeah. And I was like, you know, I don't know. I'm gonna give it a shot, you know. So I watched it, and I'll be honest, yeah, I liked it.
Yeah.
Again, it's the weakest, but you know, I think it tells a pretty decent story. You know, like you said, just watching Rocky kind of have this, you know, he's got this, you know, Tommy comes into his life, so he's trying to balance, you know, working with Tommy, and then also like focusing on his son. Well, he leans a little too much onto Tommy's end. And, you know, Tommy, I mean, he just kind of, at the later end of the movie, kind of screws over Rocky and takes the deal from, I think his name's George Washington or Duke or something. Yeah. George Washington Duke, not to get mixed up with Duke, Apollo's coach or whatever. But no, like that guy was trying to get Rocky to get back into boxing, you know, it's all about money. He just wants to profit off of it. Well, he ends up getting his hands on Tommy. Tommy turns on Rocky and yeah.
Oh, that's good. Is there anything? I mean, also in the good too. Like, you know, I enjoy the cinematography again. We're back in the Philadelphia, you know, slums, you could say, I guess. And so, you know, there's some good cinematography. There's some good set design once again. I think it lacks a little bit of the charm that the first 4 have.
It's know, like it got depressing, you know, because again, Rocky lost everything, so now he's having to like build himself back up from the bottom. Yeah.
I don't hate this movie by any means, but it's definitely, like you said,
it's the weakest.
But if you don't have anything else, we can hop over to the meh.
I mean, one other thing I did like, I did like the fight at the end.
Okay.
You know, I thought it was a nice change. Okay. You know, it was a street fight. Yeah. It wasn't your traditional fight, him in the ring. You know, I love when Tommy, you know, he gets pissed because, you know, he wins the title. But like instead of getting some grand welcome, you know, everyone's booing him, everyone's just, you know,
I do like that.
Yeah, like everyone's just like kind of shitting on him.
Getting his just due.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And so he's pissed. So he goes and he pretty much calls out Rocky. He's like, I want to fight you right. You know, I want to wherever, whenever. Yeah. And, you know, Rocky and Paulie, you know, they're in the bar and, you know, he calls them out. Well, you know, Tommy ends up punching Paulie. Yeah. You know, Rocky gets pissed. So he goes, my ring's outside. And they go and fight out on the street. I love that fight. Because, you know, I love when, you know, Rocky, you got to remember he can't fight anymore. Yeah. Because he's got that, brain injury, whatever. I mean, if he fights, he could fuck himself up. Yeah. And so, you know, he's getting knocked down at first and he's getting these little flashbacks of Mick and, just getting pummeled by, Drago. You know, he's just getting these snippets. And, you know, in those little snippets, Mick's just telling him, like, get up, you know, get your ass up, you know, and it just really gets you pumped up. I really like the fight at the end.
So you saying the fight at the end isn't the good is a good segue to the meh. Because I put the fight in the meh.
Really?
And here's the reason why. I agree with everything you just said. I think it is a very fun fight to watch.
Absolutely.
But it loses me when you see the cops in the background standing by while these two dudes beat the shit out of each other in an uncommissioned fight, killing each other, both committing, you know, assault. I don't like Duke in the fight scene at all. Hit me and I'll sue. I'm like, dude, I would hit you 26 times.
Oh, yeah.
I don't like Duke in that end. And I don't know. I do agree. It's really fun to watch. It's a cool fight, but it loses me in the realism, I guess. I guess something like the Rocky movies have always been somewhat decent at is, you know, and there's some far-fetched things throughout the franchise for sure, but this one is just kind of it loses me in that sense. It becomes too comical.
That I get, and
so I think it's taking away from what I love about that's what I mean by it lacks a little bit of charm. So I put it in the meh because I don't think it's bad by any means. But it loses me at some parts, but I do think it's a fun fight to watch. Absolutely. I'll agree with that.
And I'm not sitting here saying I don't have anything in the meh. No, I do. Yeah. You know, like I said, you know, I'm not saying this is an excellent movie. It's got some flaws.
For sure.
You know, one of the flaws that I really don't like, I didn't really care for what they did to Paulie's character, having him pretty much like mess up and, you know, sign off on these documents that he didn't realize that he was signing off for.
Yeah.
You know, so like
I get you have to make
you got to make
storyline that makes it make sense on why you're going back to the slums.
Exactly.
But I agree.
I feel like I feel like a bit of a hypocrite because by saying this, you know, I should be coming up with my own solution, how they would have lost all that money and all that stuff. But I don't know. I feel like they could have gone a different way than, you know, Paulie, you know, in Rocky IV really just...
His arc from 1 to 4 was so good.
It's so good. And then he just
crumble it with 5.
Yeah, he's like, oops. Yeah, you know, you lost millions because of me.
Yeah.
You know, I didn't really care for that. I was just like, all right, you know, you're just dropping Paulie back down to ground, like level 0.
Yeah.
And, but, you know, Rocky's loyal. You know, he loves his family and Paulie's family. Mm-hmm. You know, they're still good, you know. But that's one thing I didn't really care for was sure. I felt like they kind of ruined Paulie's character there.
I agree with that. I've never been a fan of Duke, George Washington Duke.
Oh yeah,
I'm not saying Duke. Yeah.
Well, the second I saw him, you know, in the beginning, the second I saw him pull up, you know, Rocky's trying to, you know, give his welcome home speech and whatnot. This guy pulls up, doesn't even give him a break after he just got like the shit kicked out of by a Russian.
Yeah.
He comes up and he's like, "Hey Rocky, I want another fight," and it's like, give this guy some space. He just got home.
Yeah.
And
I think both of his press conferences, I throw in the mat because they add for good entertainment for some people, I suppose, but I just think they're so unprofessional and so unrealistic in the sense that, like, the first one being not giving him a break when he gets home. Yeah. The second one being after Tommy wins the heavyweight battle, him answering all the questions for Tommy and not letting Tommy talk. And I don't know. I just have never loved that second press conference. That second press conference, I love the press.
Yes.
But I never liked Duke in that.
Yeah, Duke
the press asking all those questions like, you don't have a serious win. Like, I love that because that's how press is. Press is going to call an athlete out if they're getting cheap. Like, does Jake Paul not get called out because Mike Tyson was the first real boxer he ever fought?
Yeah.
So the press would eat him up because they're like, you're not fighting real boxers.
Exactly.
That's exactly how this was. And I like that because the press was cool and kind of picking and poking at Tommy.
Yeah.
But Duke just would interject and be like, let Tommy answer the question.
Right.
So
covering his ass.
Yeah, it was just something that always peeved me. I'm like, let him do him. Because he's going to ruin his reputation if you let him talk. Right. I want that.
And now here's another meh that I don't really care for. Now here's the thing. I like Sylvester Stallone's son as Rocky Jr. What's his name? Sylvester Stallone's son? Robert.
Yeah.
You know, I like him as
or are you asking his real name?
His real name.
Sage Stallone.
I was going to say Sage Stallone. Yeah. His name in the movie is Robert, but they call him Rocky Jr., right?
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I thought he was good. I liked him as Rocky Jr. There's one issue though. That kid ages a lot within a couple days from Rocky IV into Rocky V. I don't know if you noticed that.
Yeah.
And I get it. You know, you can't really do much, you know, with actors, real life actors. You know, it's not like you can change their face. Yeah.
Especially with kids. Right. 5 years for a kid is a lot.
Yeah.
5 years for Sylvester Stallone is, you know.
And so, like, I feel like time is a little weird in Rocky V, you know, because I read, and you might be like, well, that's where you made your first mistake. But no, I was reading a Reddit post. And somebody was what's that?
I love it.
Yeah. Somebody was actually explaining how, like, Rocky IV, you know, because I was like, how does that make sense? You know, like, you know, in Rocky IV, he's like 9 years old. Yeah. And then in Rocky V, he's like 12 or 13.
But it's like supposed to be like right after.
It's supposed to be right after.
Yeah.
And like the way someone explained it is, you know, there's really nothing you can do to cover it for the first part of the movie. Mm-hmm. You know, that was just the actor they went with. So, like, however he was going to look, that's how he's going to look. Yeah. He's going to look older than he was in the fourth movie. But I guess, you know, at time, a couple years go by, I guess, in Rocky V. So it makes sense why, you know, he's probably in middle school in Rocky V.
That's fair.
You know, so, again, the way they described it.
I must have missed the time jump on this last one.
That's what I mean. Like, that's probably one thing the movie just doesn't do well. Is it like that's one thing that's part of the meh is like again I'm pretty sure from what I read there was proof that like time you know it's not still
Yeah.
1985 or, the start of 1986. At the beginning of the movie it is, but towards the end it's probably closer to like 1988, 89.
Well, at least 1 year passes by because they celebrate Christmas.
Yes.
In this movie, and Rocky's fight with Drago was on Christmas.
Yeah.
There's at least 1 year.
Yeah.
At least. So I get that, for sure. More I have in the meh. I don't know if I have anything else in the meh. I only have one thing in the bad, but if you have anything else in the meh.
That's probably it for me. Okay. I mean, I don't really have anything in the bad. I would just say meh.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we'll hop to the bad, and the only thing I have in the bad is just Tommy's character arc.
Yeah.
He's just... I feel like there was a lot of potential with him, and I'm not a big fan of Tommy the Machine Gun.
I get it. I mean, the guy was just a douche.
Yeah, but it's like... I just hate how he sought out Rocky and then dumped him.
Yeah. I mean, like, he was, like, kind of pressuring him into becoming his manager.
Rocky didn't even want to do it. And so it's just always something that, the few times I've watched this film, that's always just never sat with me well.
Yeah, I get it.
I guess that
but that's what makes the end fight so much more...
That's fair.
Like,
and I guess that goes back more on the right. I'm not saying, like...
Yeah.
Tommy Morrison is who I'm blaming for this. I thought Tommy Morrison did a pretty good job.
Oh, yeah.
I thought, once again, the acting was very good.
Absolutely. They just could have done that arc a little better, is what you're saying. Yeah, absolutely. I could see that.
But that's it. Nothing else in the bad. I don't think it's a bad movie.
Yeah. It's decent, Yeah. It's a solid movie. Yeah. It's got its faults, but...
For sure. Yeah. So we'll hop over to our final thoughts and ratings. What do you want to lead off with Rocky 5, and what do you give it out of 10?
So, like I said, I enjoy it. Mm-hmm. Definitely the weakest of the Rocky movies. I know we've said that probably 5 times, but
5 of Rocky 5.
It's really tough because like I'm having a tough time deciding between like maybe a 6.5 and a 7. Mm-hmm. I might have to go with a 7.
Okay.
Like
That's
I said,
fine. Yeah.
It's a solid watch. Yeah. I like it.
I know a lot of people who enjoy this movie.
Yeah.
And like I said, I find fun in it. Score-wise, I'm just going to go right down the middle. I'm a 5 out of 10 for this one.
I get it.
Because I have, I have a good bit in the good. I have a good bit in the meh. I have, a couple things I gripe with. It's, like you said, usually the worst movie of the franchise. But it's still, you can have fun with it.
Yeah, absolutely.
So it's not by any means a bad movie. I think it's just a middle-of-the-road type of watch. Not much more you can say other than that.
Right.
Rocky 5's just middle of the road for me.
Absolutely.
That'll do it for Rocky 5. Keaton, thank you for coming on. Thank you guys for watching. If you like what you're watching, check out some other videos. Hit the subscribe button or follow the social links down below. We've got one more to go. Rocky 6, or I should say Rocky Balboa, is coming your way next. Check out the first 4 if you haven't already, and let us know what you think of the Rocky movies as we tackle them all. We'll talk to y'all soon. Peace.